welcome again everyone to another JJ Table Talk series. What do I have to say? Yes, it's the start of a new year. It's just a start and already January is moving and going into February. Time flies. So what do I want to reflect now in this session is I want to talk about reinventing myself and embracing change. When you talk about growth, growth doesn't happen by we just stand still and it just happens. Growth is when you feel that you want to step forward again and the ground begins to feel uncertain. I owe this thought process to my good friend Jonathan, who has shared with me a lot of his insights, and it has impacted my learning journey so far. So what I want to share in this session is just an acronym called R.E.A.P, R-E-A-P. What do I mean with this? Well, growth begins when you have clarity and you want to have some actions. If you do not have actions, you're not clear, you're not growing. So this is what I mean when I say the first letter that impact me along the journey is R.E.A.P. R.E.A.P, whatever knowledge and whatever learnings and experiences I had in the past, it gives me intention, which is purposeful, which is values aligned action. And the outcome, no doubt, sometimes is uncertain, but somehow when I act I don't do it impulsively. I do it when I think it takes a lot of courage. What do I mean by this R.E.A.P? R.E.A.P, for example, when you look back at things that you have done in the past, sometimes you feel drained out in certain job and you feel that I want to start a business. It's okay. It's okay to think like that, because any individual who's trapped into a high paying but a corporate job that you are not happy at all, you need to have a drastic review of what's important in life. And when you say that, you have to align this with your health, your happiness, and desire with others. And for this, you need to reap whatever you have had in the past and then probably decide on what you do next. Another example of this R.E.A.P is when some people, that they've studied something, but somehow when they got into a career path, they want to quit that professional organization immediately because it's not aligned to what they want to do. So when you get into this sort of misalignment and it drains your resources, to me it's like you need to break it up and you reap whatever you have learned so far and the strength and potentials that you have for immediate action. All right. Yes, I agree. Some people, they suddenly, in the middle of the career path, they decide to pursue a different path than planned. And individuals who, for example, wants to do a PhD and then go into the academic world, suddenly discovered that they have misaligned with their future plans. So I guess it's okay to make a conscious decision to leave that corporate world or the academic world to reap into a changing environment that is not planned before. That is the first letter, R.E.A.P. So what's next? Next is A. When I thought about this, A is act with courage. What do I mean with act with courage? Act with courage is that when you want to do something, you cannot be like washy-washy or not sure, or like kelang kabut or not sure, because the letter is like a mindset shift. When you have something that you need to learn, for example, for me in this age, I need to learn new technical skills and I've got to start or be relevant in the learning and development environment. How so? Because there's so many things that's happening right now in the technological world, and I don't keep myself updated. I don't go seeking new skills. I don't stay informed. I do not leverage with new tools, for example, like AI for efficiency. Ultimately, the growth, be it personal or professional, will not be there. So this is something we have to think about. And for most of us, okay, let me share some examples. As usual, I always share examples. A career shift. When I joined the organization at the beginning of my career, I was put in a different environment, which is in insurance and property management. However, after a few years there, I was inclined towards learning, and that was a career shift. And therefore, do I want to stay or do I want to move? So I learned new skills, and I said that, okay, I have to act with courage. What do I want to do with my life? And when I say I want to embrace change, then I need to do a career shift. A career shift in the sense that it will cultivate me to have a mindset shift, because when you want to do something, you need to leverage with your own abilities. You need to build new habits. You need to stay informed. You need to focus on control what you want to do and control what you cannot do. And then most important is to seek support. So in this sense, it's like having when you talk about embrace change, it's a mindset shift, definitely, because this is something that will trigger your next actions. All right? And as I mentioned earlier, A is act with courage. I jumped it a bit just now because, as usual, when I want to do something, I always get into actions. So when you talk about courage, it comes from a Latin word which means bravery. So in this sense, when you talk about, shall I say, courage, you have to align it with your heart. And that is something being brave. So what does it mean, act with courage? Sometimes you need to fight your own battles, but make sure you fight it at the right time. Do not go into head on if you're not prepared. You need to ask clarifying questions. I always talk about this. Always ask questions to clarify, not to respond. And getting the right input from others, you need to be assertive at times, but not aggressive. Sometimes I would tell others, my friends and whatnot, my family members, my children, it's okay to say no. You don't have to say yes and be a follower all the time. Always show initiative. When you want to act with courage, you need to be able to show your initiative. But at the same time, don't forget to be respectful. All right? So to do this, you need to have the big picture. You need to think big, because then only you can act with courage. And so what's the last letter that I want to share with you? This session is P. What is P? P is when you are inspired purposefully, or should I say purposefully inspired, sorry. When I talk about this, when it's like your behaviors and your choices will stem from an inner sense of meaning. And in this sense, you have a clear personal mission rather than external pressure or obligations. So this is where, when you talk about P, it's like, what can we do on a personal level? What can we do on a daily basis? Well, start prioritizing your well-being. A person who is purposeful, first you need to love yourself. It is so important. You need to. If you do not love yourself, then forget about it, because you cannot move forward. You cannot embrace change. You cannot reinvent yourself towards something that you want to at the end of the day. You need to be mindful when you seek personal growth. It's like choosing a new skill or hobby. It's like doing something that you want to share joy and have personal development, and it brings potential reward and external validation. What else? Be mindful, because sometimes when you're not mindful, you may get entrapped. And to do this, cultivate resilience. What I mean by resilience, a person who has experienced significant hardship might be inspired by journey to become a beacon of hope for others. And this is encouraging for others, because when you become your own, shall I say, inspired person, you can inspire others, and you can demonstrate this, that any adversity can be overcome. And this, I would imagine, is something like you can do it. So when you talk about you want to reinvent yourself, for me it's reinventing myself, and it's starting with a new year, with new goals, with new resolutions to embrace change. I hold strongly for this R.E.A.P, which is R, reap with intention, E, embrace the change, A, act with courage, and P, purpose-inspired action. So friends, as usual, I always want to see others, make that big steps forward, have a purposeful life, and embrace change positively, and have impact on others. Over the years, when I think about this thought process, I feel inspired to help others. As I said earlier, I'm here to help others, I'm here to serve. It's always been me learning with others, learning with the learning community, and I hope that this sharing of mine would help others with your own life, because once you see what's ahead of you, it is so clear that we have done well, we have a purposeful life, and it's time to share with others and contribute towards making a better lifestyle and a better dream for many. On that note, I wish everybody reap well, reap your destiny, reap your dream, achieve your goals, have a happy life and purposeful life. Thank you. Bye-bye from JJ. Have a good life. Bye.